One of the terrorists was a Syrian refugee. Came on a boat through Greece, got accepted into Europe, got welcomed in with open arms. And how did he treat his host? He turned around and killed 130 people. One of the terrorists was only 15 years old. Just think about that. When I was 15, I was chasing girls and wanting to drive cars. Believe it or not, I was a bit thinner back in them days and had a bit of hair. That's what I was interested in when I was 15 years old. I wasn't interested in putting on a suicide bomb vest and going and blowing up someone. So, once again, we have a real problem and we have a real issue with Islam. They say radical Islam, but Islam is Islam. And the Turkish Prime Minister has stated, there is no moderate Islam. That term is ugly and offensive. Islam is Islam. Now, just also on that, about the allegiance of the attackers. Lately you've heard a lot of the politicians, Turnbull and Obama, John Kerry, Secretary of State of the US, they call it Daesh, or Daesh. It's ISIS, it's the Islamic State, but they use the term Daesh. And you know why? Because they don't want to speak the word Islam. It's another one of these sly moves that the media makes. Here we go. Here's another loser. Bye-bye. Out you go, mate. They say Daesh, so they don't say Islamic State, and it's a joke. Our politicians got to read the writing on the wall. Also, don't forget about Paris. Early in January, there was Charlie Hebdo, where the Muslims got upset all because a few cartoons were drawn. And in that attack, we had 12 journalists, 12 cartoonists murdered. So that started the fear in Paris, and now we've got civilians in Paris that scare themselves shitless at the sound of a car backfiring now. What's their quality of life like now in Paris, I wonder? They're all living on tenterhooks, and it's all thanks to Islamic immigration. Once they reach a critical juncture of the population, they tend to be, how can I say, very overbearing. I'll get to Sydney. Okay, so ISIS claimed the responsibility for the attacks in Paris the next day on Saturday the 14th. In a public statement released on Twitter and probably on Facebook, this is another thing, we can get banned on Facebook or Twitter just like that very quickly, but somehow ISIS is allowed to post photos of beheadings and say threatening things to the West straight away, and that doesn't get taken down by the authorities, but ISIS get away with it. Anyway, in a public statement, ISIS said, "Let France and all nations following its path," and that's us. Australia's in this. We're in the coalition that's for some reason wanting to bomb Syria when Assad is wanting to stop ISIS. That's another bloody issue. But anyway, let France and all nations following its path know that they will continue to be at the top of the target list for the Islamic State, and that the scent of death will not leave their nostrils as long as they partake in the Crusader campaign. Indeed, this is just the beginning. Doesn't sound very nice, does it? Doesn't sound very welcoming. ISIS has declared war on us. They have declared war on the West. And until our politicians wake up and realise that fact, singing Kumbaya is not going to help. Welcoming in more Syrian refugees, Muslim refugees, is not going to help.